waterhole where that natural seep is that the elephants have dug. Maybe there might be something around there. And then I think I'm going to try guess with those three big Eddie bulls that James saw earlier. We're at the Djuma. Sorry, I'm missing the road. I'm watching a bird. I was hoping it was going to land, but it hasn't. There's a purple roller. But I'm going to try guess with those three big Eddie bulls might pop out. Not the most relaxed in this windy weather. They could have also come a long way with all the water holes being closed in there. And, well, not closed, or bone dry in the Western Kruger National Park. A lot of animals could be coming our way over the next few months. In Michigan. Big welcome on Safari Live today, Jan. Jan says shrikes in the US are often known as butcher birds because they tend to impale insects and other things on thorns or on barbed wire. Some of ours do. The fiscal shrike, which we don't actually get in this area, is called either a butcher bird or a Jackie Hangman, after the old English name for the man who pulled the lever at the hangman's noose. But they do sometimes. The shrike that we get here that does do it most often is a little redback shrike, and I'll see if we can find one of those today. Tree at the back. Okay, up a little bit there. Right in the right tree. Yes, that's good. Just come up a little bit. Down a little bit. A little bit to the right slightly. Keep coming. Which are you in this tree? Come out. Ah, there's that. This way. I'm sorry, a bit confusing. There we go. We go in here and in there. Sorry, we are confused about the tree for a second there. But there's a black-headed oriole. And we have three species of oriole that can occur here. The black-headed being the resident one that's here all the time. And the others are the African golden oriole and the European golden oriole, which are migrants. So they look very, very similar to that, except they lack that very distinctive black head. There you go, doing a little bit of preening. Very pretty birds and very vocal. We hear them calling a lot of the time. So we're going to jump across to James quickly, who's got a porky pig.
Pig. There is a warthog, everybody. And it is just grazing on a few of these sort of forbs or herbaceous plants that are growing on the fringes of the Arathusa International Airport. I'm just checking carefully left to right for Boeing 747s or Dreamliners. I am, of course, joking. The last time I said, or the first time I described this as the Arathusa International Airstrip, there was an environmental outcry from our viewers who thought that there were about to be great Airbus A380s landing in the middle of the Kruger Park. Fear not, that is not the case. It's just for small planes, and they had just redone the surface. So here is a warthog, and unlike most of the Djuma warthogs, he's actually standing still, which is quite nice. I'm just trying to see what he's eating. They're normally grazers, but there doesn't seem to be much grass. And that is going to be a situation that persists, I suspect, for much of the summer. That's actually a sow, it's not a boar, I think. And not in excellent condition, not too bad, just looking a bit skinny. See the shoulders showing, the hips showing slightly. Enthusiasm. I think there is grass growing there, and I think it's growing there because of the runoff. A little bit of water that was on the airstrip has now run off into that sort of fringing apron area, and I think that's what she's very cleverly found herself to eat. And a bit of a breeze blowing in from the south. We've had some very pleasant weather in the last few days. It hasn't been too hot at all. That heat-sapping strength, but we really are now starting to need water.
Sorry
about that. That is the game drive radio at Arathusa that clearly that warthog found very distasteful indeed. So distasteful that she seems to be voiding her bowels. Anyway, there she goes. So we've come on to Arathusa, obviously. We're at the airstrip, otherwise we wouldn't be here. And we're going to head west as soon as we can get round the southern end of the airstrip. And there were reports, like I said, of the Anderson male in that region today. From this morning. I've never seen that magnificent beast before. Brent's got some wonderful photographs of him, and I'm quite looking forward and hoping desperately to see the Anderson male, apparently the largest male leopard in history. Not quite, but certainly the biggest that anyone's seen around here for some time. So let's hope, cross our thumbs, cross our fingers, hold our thumbs. That means the same thing. I had a question about that the other day. Andrew, have you seen the Anderson male? Negative. Right. Good. Be a nice surprise for both of us then. There is a howling gale, as I say. Suddenly got very strong. And unusually today, there doesn't seem to be any kind of cloud build-up towards the mountains, which I think is a bit strange. Well, not strange, it just hasn't happened. You know, the last few, sort of 5 or 6 days, there's been a nice build-up over the mountains. But now just a force 10 gale coming from the south. Hello, Rose. You're in Harrisburg. I don't know where Harrisburg is. Sounds like a nice small town to live in. Rose, you want to know why they crawl on their knees to eat? Rose, it's because they don't only eat grass, warthogs. They eat the roots and the kind of the rhizomes, which are the underground stems of the grass plants. And so they get onto their knees so that they can get right up underneath there, and sometimes they'll dig with their snouts as well and pull out the rhizomes and the roots of the grasses that they eat. So that's why they're on their knees, Rose. Nice question. That I'm not sure I can answer from Victor, age 9 in Atlanta. Victor, you want to know how much a warthog eats every day. Victor, a big boar weighs about 1 700 kilograms, and I'm going to say that they probably eat therefore about probably up to 10 kilograms. Oh, guinea fowl, sorry, why I was thinking. I became overwhelmed by thought. My eyes just up. There are some guinea fowl. So Victor, I'm going to say about 10 kilos, so about 22 pounds of food a day. More than you, Victor. Beautiful guinea fowl here. One of my favorites. They always have a slightly surprised look on their faces. We appear to be trespassing. Never mind. So that is the helmeted guinea fowl, which we don't find here, at least which we do find here very commonly. There's also another one called the crested guinea fowl, which looks totally ridiculous. Looks like it's wearing some kind of ancient Papua New Guinean helmet. Strange feathers sticking out the top of its head. Not that the helmeted guinea fowl doesn't look slightly ridiculous with that helmet sticking out of its head. We get lots of questions about what they taste like and whether they're good to eat. Some people think that they're good to eat, but then again, you know, there are cultures around the world that eat rotting puffins as a delicacy. I think that they're pretty stringy and bland and not much to recommend them edible-wise. But they're very beautiful. And very fast, unusually fast on their feet. Much faster than you or I. Don't go faster than Brent, Andrew?
Marginally.
Marginally. All right, I don't want to dally here for too long. Let's carry on towards where the leopard was last seen. I have a feeling Mr. Anderson and I are going to be great friends. There's a tiny, tiny little baby monkey there. Oh, that's so sweet. Two little baby monkeys. Two mothers with their little babies. Look. That little thing, isn't that sweet? As Jerry says, such a cute little monkey face, absolutely. Do you think that's a bird, Andrew, or one of the monkeys?
A red bird.
Very. Now this is a knobthorn tree, and I mean I'm a tree climber. I like to climb trees, but I wouldn't climb a knobthorn tree. It would tear my hands to pieces. And the monkeys just don't have that problem. This is fantastic. Looking up into the tree at one of them. Oh, okay. So one of them has just picked a pod. You see that one there, Andrew, straight above us. Just picked a pod to eat, so I think that's why they're sitting in this tree. They're eating the old seed pods. I just want you to understand the extent of the thorns in this tree. There's no ways you or I would be able to sit where that monkey's sitting now, straight above us. You'd tear your hands to pieces.
Just can't get there.
Sorry, we can't get quite up there. Let me, instead of sitting here being a lazy lump, let me just move that so that Andrew doesn't have to break his axis-axle joint. There we go. Good enough. That really is quite astonishing. I mean, it looks like it's sitting in a very comfortable little tree, but really not. wonderful afternoon. So there it peeps at us through the foliage. And I tell you what, I'm going to stop. The next time I see it, decent size, or one at the right level, I'll show you the thorns that that monkey is sitting on and holding and moving its hands amongst. Ooh, Andrew, I think we might have some action at the international airstrip here. Seems to be a plane landing, or just going over. I think it might be going to Cheetah Plains. That, of course, is quite the most romantic way to come into the bush. Very out of Africa-esque. Without the blasting wind and Robert Redford, of course. Or Meryl Streep. Right, on we go. Hello, Gavin. You're just 8 years old, and you want to know what my favourite bird is, because your favourite bird is guinea fowl. That plane is going to land here, you know. Gavin, my favourite bird is called the white-browed scrub robin, and it's a very beautiful little bird that has a lovely voice, beautiful songs, and that's why I really think it's my favourite. I also like the batalier very much, and I like guinea fowl too. Here comes the plane, Andrew. Are you ready? In the absence of a leopard, let's watch the plane land. Bumpy road, sorry everybody. I just wanted to get a nice picture of this thing coming down here. Quite fun. I always love watching planes land and take off. That's a throwback to my childhood. Here we go, I'll stop here. Got him, Andrew. Here it comes. Coming into land. Geraldine, of course, is not as enthusiastic about aeroplanes as Andrew and I. She says this doesn't count as a sighting. I think this is fascinating. I'm sorry we're not closer to the touchdown area. Still, there you go. Looks like it's plummeting out of the sky. I should have kept going, perhaps. It landed on almost no tarmac at all, and I'm sure it'll turn around even before it gets to us. Such a fun way to come into the bush. I'd have to go all the way to the end to turn around. I hope the pilot knows that he's on camera. It's such fun to come in on a plane. Right, let us carry on. Now, James Taylor, while we're driving along here, and the plane is turning around, of course, here we are at the little Arathusa airstrip pan. Everything is taking fright because the aeroplane is turning around, making a great noise, and it's going to come back this way. So let's just keep going along. Birds. They're just Senegal lapwings. I think they're just Senegal lapwings. They are, just Senegal lapwings. James Taylor, you want to know who's coming in on that plane? It'll be a guest. So the guests come in the planes. Sometimes the staff come in. If there's a plane coming in, I'm sure they catch a staff-rated plane. And then supplies will be brought in by road. We're not far from the nearest town. There's a place called Acorn Hook, not too far from here, and then a larger town called Hoedspruit, which is not very large, and then a larger town than that called Nelspruit, which is way down in the south. That's quite a long way from here. It takes about 4 hours to get there. In Botswana, however, where Brent sort of cut his teeth in the safari business, where he was born, around Mombo, they do have to fly everything in. The staff, the supplies, the guests, everybody has to fly in. Can't drive there because of the swamps. I'm just going to check my map here to make sure we're not going off-piste, as it were. Been known to trespass by mistake every so often. No, we're okay now. It's this junction where if you turn left, you end up trespassing. Grasshopper trying to contact a long-lost friend. Isn't he cool? So my map is on this phone, everybody. That's why the phone's out. And the grasshopper saw the phone, and I think it's trying to dial a number. Very sad story. Off it goes. Right, on we go. I'm getting a whole lot of updates on the Game Drive channel. People disappearing off Arathusa to go east towards Chitwa and the like. Rachel, a very nice question, and we're going to disappoint you slightly, but not too much. You were looking through a bird app, and you found something called the African finfoot, which is a beautiful bird, and you want to know if it is found in Arathusa or Djuma. No, it isn't. There's simply not enough water. They like permanent river water mainly, but they're in the Sand River down below, about 4 kilometers to the south of where we sit now, 7 kilometers, and you could definitely find finfoot, and I've seen them there. Also find them all over sort of permanent rivers like the Zambezi, possibly in parts of the Limpopo, but not here. We don't have any rivers that run, so no finfoot around Arathusa or Djuma, especially not in the drought. Right, now this leopard was last seen around sort of this vaguish region this morning, so keep an eye out from this point onwards. If you see an enormous spotted cat with a golden pelage, that's probably him. So we'll drive very slowly to see if we can't see some tracks. Brent has managed to find the elephants that we started with a bit earlier. It's good news. Let's head across to him, and we'll keep looking for this leopard. See you shortly.
So we decided to play catch up with some of those big bulls, and we found them And we found one. I can hear the others. Oh, I can see another one now just ahead of us. Just coming through this deep drainage system. And they're looking a little bit more relaxed than they were earlier, so we're going to see if we can get a little closer to them. Such magnificent animals, these big ellie balls. I think he's going to move out into the open, so we're going to try get a fair head of him. There we go. You can see they're quite a bit more relaxed than they were a bit earlier. Coming right up to us at the moment. Hello, big boy. What you doing? They're going to go right next to Tebs. He's stopping right next to Tebs on the back of the vehicle there. Oh, isn't this magnificent? Massive elephant, probably weighing around 6,000 kilograms or 6 tons. And the other one is just behind this bush here. We'll sneak a little bit forward, or maybe he might come towards us. So I've only seen 2 of the 3 we saw earlier. Here we go, he's popping his head out. He was the less relaxed of the 2 bulls. And you can already see that in his body language, slightly raising his ears, letting us know he's there. But look at those beautiful, very even tusks. They're not quite as calm and collected as the other bull, but nevertheless also a bit physically smaller, even though he's got bigger tusks. Maybe a bit younger as well. And there was a 3rd bull that was much smaller than the other 2. I'm not sure where he is. Ah, there he is, right up the back. Well spotted. Well, let's go. Oh, look. Giving that halter forum a good pushing. Oh, listen to that. And timber. Reminds me of the Monty Python song, I'm a lumberjack. And I think the lumberjacks have got very little on an African elephant when he decides he wants to push something over. Down the main stem of that weeping wattle. Hello, big boy. It's very important not to drive directly at an animal. You always drive away sort of at an oblique angle, and that's less threatening to them. Incredible power. And we didn't have ellies for 3 drives in a row, and I was really starting to miss them. And I do love these big bulls, so I'm very excited that they're back. So just letting them get used to the sound of my voice, and that we're close and we're not posing any threat. Look at that. Isn't that absolutely stunning? Using that incredibly dexterous trunk to strip leaves from that unfortunate weeping wattle. Now that he's a little bit more relaxed and he's heard us again, I'm just going to let the engine run a little bit and just try and move a little bit further forward so you don't have that small bush in the way. There we go. That's what we want. Incredible strength. Also, you could get to those nice tender shoots on the top. So it looks like that's all he wanted from there. Look at that. Off he moves. Slow amble. Definitely one of the creatures that I can spend hours upon hours with, these big ellie bulls. Let's move around the head again. So again, very important to get around the front of them and not to drive straight at them or straight behind them. Because even though they are gentle, they are so huge and so incredibly powerful that you don't want to annoy them at all. And I just love being able to spend so much time with them. So, hyena tracks. So we just want to get up ahead. There's some nice open ground. Hopefully he pushes down another tree. See them moving there. There we go. There's some nice open ground. I can hear a tree going. Just see that. There we go. He got hold of an acacia on the other side of that quarry. So So Karen, our Zimbo in London, wonders, do elephant bulls in must do more damage than usual? Oh, we've got that other bull right next to us here. The one who's not so calm and relaxed. Karen, not at all. They generally feed about the same. The other thing is that what a lot of people consider elephant damage is not actually damage. It's very, very important. If there weren't elephants, and it's happened in a lot of areas, or not a healthy elephant population, the bush becomes very thick, and that removes the grass, which stops all the grazing species like zebra and wildebeest and buffalo having access to good food. So specifically now, in the time of drought, we've gone through 7 very wet years, and the Sabi Sands is probably the thickest it's been in quite a while. So now we're going into a dry period, which again is not a bad thing. A lot of people sometimes do worry, and we are going to have animals dying in that, but that is how nature maintains itself. Let's see if this guy's relaxed down a little bit. Hello, big boy. He's on the move already. So, Karen, I wouldn't call it elephant damage. Rather, I like to call it elephant activity. And remember, an elephant pushes down a tree. It creates a whole bunch of opportunities now for other animals like Kudu and nyala to feed off that, and as well as a whole host of insects. I mean, all the borers now have some meals to have. So it's very important, and it's all interlinked. Trees that get pushed down like this one continue growing, just at a different angle. As I just mentioned, that nyala and Kudu will feed off the trees that the elephants have pushed down as well. They probably won't eat all of it, and it'll never go to waste out here because insects will feed off it, borer beetles, and that'll attract birds, so it can form a whole separate little ecosystem in itself. He's definitely the biggest out of the 3 bulls, and it's not uncommon to have different aged elephant bulls together. Good afternoon to Debbie in Vancouver. Debbie would like to know, do elephant bulls maintain any connection with their natal herd? They do not, Debbie. They move away, and even with the breeding herds that they see on a regular basis, they will just be around the breeding herds. Generally, when they're mating, they might cross paths with them occasionally, but they prefer to either stay in little bachelor groups, oh, there we go, look at that, or meander around on their own. Excuse me, I was going to put a bit more sun cream on. Oh, look at that. You can see the prehensile tip to the trunk there. And the African elephant's prehensile tip differs from the Asian elephant, and the fact that it's got 2, one on either side, whereas the Asian elephant's only got a single tip. can actually even hear them crunching through that little acacia branch. They're busy feeding off a red thorn or Acacia gerardi. A very warm welcome to a new viewer in Arizona, Shamika. Shamika would like to know, how long does it take for an elephant's tusk to grow? Shamika, they will grow throughout their lives, and each individual elephant will have a different size set of tusks depending on their genetics. So looking at this guy, he's probably around 35, maybe 40. So that's how long it's taken him to grow those tusks. So even the broken tusk on the other side will continue to grow throughout his life. Come on, big boy. So they had a nice drink at quarantine, and now they've slowly moved off and spread out through the bush and are busy just slowly feeding. A big elephant bull like this will eat about between 200 and 250 kilograms of vegetable matter in a day. You can see his mouth feels as thick as an old leather boot, and he munches through those thorns with not a problem at all. Well, it's my pleasure, Gracie. Gracie is 8 years old and one of our regular viewers. She says, thank you very much for finding elephants. They always make her feel a lot better. Well, I'm very happy that you're feeling better, and I love spending time with Ellies too, Gracie. Especially these big older gentlemen. It looks like he might walk up to us again, or just past us. Marlene in Quebec. I'm going to get to your second question, answer your question in a second. I'm just going to wait for this beautiful big bull to go past. Look at that. You can see that break on his tusk, actually quite old. You can see very well worn, almost polished edges, and he's still utilizing that tusk. It looks like it. If we have a close look in there, please, Tibbs, on the tip of that tusk. unfortunately just behind that little branch, but you can see it broke quite a long time ago and broke quite unevenly, and that's almost certainly from a fight. And you can see how coarse their skin is as well. You can see the little rough, sort of almost looks like granules on their skin. Hello, big boy. So he is taking almost zero notice of us compared to the other. The other bull just doesn't seem as relaxed, which is fine. So we won't try to go closer to the other one. But this guy, as you can see, has almost an absolute disregard for us in the vehicle. He just carries on with his day as if we weren't even here. Wasn't that awesome having him come that close to us? Up to you. Would you like to stay with these illies a bit longer? Or would you like to go see if we can find a leopard or something else? Let me know by sending us an email on questions@wildearth.tv or use the hashtag SafariLIVE on Twitter. So just looking here carefully, I was talking about the red thorn and the thorns that elephant was putting into its mouth. Have a look at that. I mean, they're huge, massive thorns. And some of them will be longer than my fingers. Really, really sharp. You don't really want to get these in your feet. They've actually got poison and they cause an incredible itch when they do. So that is an acacia gerardi, or a red thorn. Marlene was asking about when do young bulls join bachelor groups, or what age, and is it difficult for them? Oh, he's going quite quickly now. We're going to get back on the road. Marlene, anywhere from about 14, 15 sometimes, normally a bit closer to 20. What happens is when they reach sexual maturity at around 14 and their hormones start flying and they become a bit of a pain around the breeding herds, so they start causing havoc and chasing babies and just generally being quite rambunctious. So they're pushed to the peripheries from about that age by the adult females, and they sometimes leave from that age, sometimes stay around a bit longer. It all depends on the individual. But it's not normally hard for them. It's probably the fact is they sexually mature from 14, but they're actually physically big enough to challenge for mating till they're about 30. So a bit of a tough time for about 15 years. So they're moving some really thick bush opposite me. I'm just going to keep with them till we get to the next sort of open area. And there's the third bull. We haven't seen him yet. We saw him very briefly. And he's not... You can see he's quite a...
Nyala, 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 Andrew, quickly. I think we're live, everybody. I think Andrew... Right, we are live. Here we are. We are alive and live. Here is a small herd of nyalas. We've come to Arathusa Lodge by mistake, Andrew and I, and we were following tracks of a male leopard who was unfortunately found off the property, so we can't go and view him. But here we are, and we were trying to find our way across to the Arathusa Dam, and somehow Andrew and I have conspired to get lost. But here we have some beautiful nyala. A young bull with 2 cows. I suspect he's probably related to one of them. Probably the son thereof. Or they could all be juveniles together, actually. But he's not a big bull. And I was just tracking that leopard earlier, or trying to. I wasn't actually following any tracks. I was blundering about in the bush trying to find the tracks on foot. And there is so little grass around, it was quite astonishing. I was walking in between stumpy trees and dusty ground, with very little in the way of fresh grass shoots, which for this time of the year is A, slightly distressing, and B, slightly depressing. But like I say, I keep saying, it's totally normal for this time, well, for this time of the year. Andrew, shut up. I've completely lost my train of thought now. It's totally normal for this area to experience times of drought and flood. And in fact, if you read, there's a wonderful, wonderful book called Africa, the Biography of a Continent. And if you're ever interested in African history, both from an ecological and a human point of view, then that's the best possible book to read, because it explains how Africa has developed, our societies have developed here to cope with these times of extreme climate, with the huge droughts and then floods. And it's amazing how even the social makeup of our African societies have changed in response to those environmental sort of triggers. Fascinating stuff. That's Africa, Biography of Continent. Not a light read, but certainly a fascinating one. Andrew, you're going to go and buy that book immediately once you've stopped sneezing out a lung. Right, Brent has refound the elephants. I'm not sure why we crash cut away. I think that Rusty has got a bit of dodgy signal. So let's head back to him, and I'll see you shortly.
Just try.
We're back, everyone. Sorry about that. Brenty is struggling there with his signal on Rusty. That's not surprising. It's just a little frustrating. So sorry about that. Andrew and I have refound ourselves. And we're happy to hear that Andrew has not sneezed any further, and therefore is unlikely to have influenza. Phew. I haven't been here for some time, so I'll be interested to see how full this dam is. And the answer is not very. There are some hippopotami. We'll stop on the dam wall here to see what else we can see. Oh, and there's some llamas the other side there. We've just driven past a herd of waterbuck, everyone, and as we did so, Andrew said, "Ooh, llamas," and of course I've never thought of that, but they do look very similar to llamas, don't they? Well, not very similar, a little bit similar, with that long hair. So, 2 young bulls and a much more mature bull, and that's quite a normal situation, especially around water. They will be subordinate to him. If we could pop over to the hippopotami there. There are a couple of hippopotamus, and they were last described when I was here by Brian as swamp things, and that's exactly what they look like now, because they're covered in this weed, this water hyacinth, which which is getting thicker and thicker as the water sort of starts to disappear. What else have we got here? I'm just going to look around the shore at the birds. Lots and lots of Egyptian geese. In fact, many. Andrew, let's try and count them. 1, 2, 3. Ooh, there's also a yellow-billed duck there. Can you see it, Andrew? If you look at the first 3 geese, there, right in the middle of the puddle that you're looking at there.
Oh, yes.
That thing in the middle there, everybody, is a yellow-billed duck. No, it's not. It's a white-faced duck. That's so embarrassing. Anyway, it's a white-faced duck, everyone. I'm just going to say it's because my binoculars are very old and decrepit and I couldn't see properly. But lots and lots of Egyptian geese, and we know that the parents here of the Egyptian geese highly successful. They raised their entire clutch. I suspect there's so many here because there's more than one couple. They've all come in here as the water's dried up around here. This is some of the last water, of course, and I think that all the Egypto geese have decided that this is a good place to hunker down for the drought. A couple of African jacanas, some blacksmith lapwings, a force 10 gale blowing across the top of the dam wall. I remember a friend of mine, Renias Mhlongo from Londolozi, used to say to me, how can you tell the difference between a male and a female goose when they're flying? And he says, I said, I have no idea. They look the same, don't they? He said, yes, but when they're flying, you can tell the male is in front and the female is behind going quack, 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 quack. He's trying to get away from her because he's done something wrong. I don't know if that's true or not. Probably not. Some monkeys the other side, which you just make out maybe. They're quite far away. Either coming to have a swim and a drink or to raid the camp. And there we go, now you can see them coming across. Now that's either a raiding party, like I say, or a swimming party, I'm not sure. It's difficult to tell with monkeys whether they have criminal intent or just social. I doubt they'd be introducing a little one like that to a crime so soon in its life. Oh, that's it, they are heading towards the camp. Monkeys are quite big on crime in these parts. They will very happily raid a home that isn't sufficiently closed up. So we in camp, we have to keep our kitchen very closed. The little one chasing an Egyptian goose. Yeah, he caught it. Question from a fascinating Twitter handle, Minecraft Junkie. Minecraft. This is wonderful. Minecraft Junkie, you want to know what the stuff is growing in the bottom of the water here, on the top of the water. It's called a water hyacinth. Minecraft Junkie. And as far as I know, it's an exotic species. It shouldn't really be here, but almost impossible once it's got here to control. All these monkeys are coming now. Oh, this is wonderful. This is incredible. I've never seen this before. It's caught it! Gee whiz, he caught that one. Geese are not very smart. Look at it standing up. It's like a human being. This is a great game for the monkeys. I've never seen this before. A whole lot of them are getting in on the act now. I think the geese have got wires to it though. Just not quite fast enough, the monkeys. But you could see, while the goose was not running with the wind, very difficult for it to take off. And so the monkey's much quicker on the ground than a goose. This is fascinating stuff. I've never seen that before. And that's purely playful. I mean, look, if they caught one, they might try and eat it, but I mean, they're certainly not hunters by any stretch of the imagination, monkeys. Andrew, the lead criminal is going in. There, we can see one on the. You see one there on the deck. Scouting party is in. Oh, Isabella, you're just aged 4, and of course you live in a city, and so where you live, Isabella, it's very nice to go and feed the ducks around where you live. Isabella, we don't feed the animals here at all. The reason for that... Excuse me. Bless you, Andrew. The reason for that, Isabella, is that the animals can't get too used to people. So often people come here and they try and feed the monkeys, and then you see what happens is the monkeys stop being afraid of people, and if they're not afraid of us, they can often bite us. And the same goes for any of the wild animals out here. And we don't want to have any effect on them, Isabella. We just want to watch them. We don't want to interfere with their lives as far as possible. So no, we don't feed any of the ducks. They've got enough to eat. And remember, if there isn't enough here, they can always fly somewhere else. Now, Sarah, you're in Ohio, and I think you're 17 or so, if you're the same Sarah, and you want to know if they pump water into this dam. I didn't think that they did, but they might. It's certainly losing water at this stage, Sarah, but they might pump water into it. I must ask them. I can't see any obvious entry point for water, though. It's a massive, massive dam. I mean, it's a huge expanse of water, this. City and one white-faced duck. Good.
And one heron.
And one heron. Some jacanas. Oh, there's some water thickneys. And blacksmith lapwings. So, Richard, in the UK, you want to know about the drought and how long it's likely to last. There's another llama. Richard, we got some information the other day from some supposed scientists who say that the El Nino effect is going to, while we will probably have the same amount of rain that we do every year, about 600 millimeters this year. That's about, look, this is the wagtail. 600 millimeters, which would be 60 centimeters, which would be 2 feet of rain. Richard, while we're supposed to have all of that, it will probably mostly come in February. And what that means is that it'll come in big floods, it'll wash away the seedbed of the grass, and so that's a real kind of problem. And we're hoping that won't be the case, but that's what the consensus is at the moment. Like I say, predicting the weather out here is about as reliable. I mean, you may as well use tarot cards most of the time to predict the weather out here, but let's see what happens. That's what they're expecting. Okay, let's head... The monkeys are still chasing these geese. Let's head back across to Brent. I think he's refound those elephants, and hopefully Rusty's signal will last.
So we're still with those ellies as they move, unfortunately, towards our southern boundary. going to wait for him to move down the road. So all three of them quite close together now. We're going to join in the bachelor herd. Since we're bachelors here, all boys, no ladies around. So let's just get in amongst the boys. Isn't this awesome being able to follow these Ellie bulls for this long? Matthew, who's 9 years old, is wondering, do the thorns that the Ellies are eating bother their insides as they swallow them? Not at all, Matthew. They're designed to be able to digest those massive thorns. It's definitely my type of traffic jam. Stopping to have a quick feed. Oh, stretching to get to just can't get to those nice fresh shoots. Coming up on the left there, Tibsy. That long tusked bull, the one that's not quite as relaxed as the big guy in front of us, but he definitely looks like he's getting more relaxed. In San Diego is wondering whether I think this large bull Eddie in front of us is on his last set of teeth. I don't think so. I think he's probably on his second last set of teeth. Still another full set of teeth to go. And he looks in really good health at the moment. I love it when they get it. Look at that. As soon as they get to a little bit of a dip, they can't help themselves. They end up almost jogging because of the weight being carried down. You've got to speed up, engage low range gear to get up the hill. really bad signal area, and it's going to go black screen any further. So we're going to have to go across to James, and I need to move out of this area. So hopefully they move on to higher ground.
We are live, we are live. Hello everybody. Sorry about Brent. You know, I think it's probably because he has such a tremendous amount of energy himself. He's probably putting the amplifier in Rusty to shame. I suspect that's what the problem is. Anyway, we're heading back towards Djuma now. We have milked Arathusa for everything she appears to be able to give us at the moment. And there were some many beautiful ducks and some recalcitrant monkeys trying to eat the ducks. Something flew in the eye. I must say the quite astonishing lack of elephants, but for those three that we've seen over the last little while, really does amaze me. And that's mainly because, I mean, a week ago we couldn't drive around the bush without finding an elephant lurking behind it. Now, of course, we drive around thousands of bushes and find no elephants at all. Possibly got to do with the amount of water there is. I think there's quite a lot of water still on Buffer's Hook, and that might be where they're going. You might notice that there's a slight change in vegetation type as we get down next to this sort of drainage line area. You can see it's very thick inside there, lots of green trees. And then as you come away from the drainage line, we get up onto this what we call a sodic area, so very salty soils. Not much will grow here, but the grass is very good when it does grow, so animals will like to eat it, and that's why it's quite there. And the dominant tree species is these guarri bushes. Magic guarri or Euclea divinorum, pick your piece. It's quite a nice thing to say, and pick you a piece a couple of times. Go on, give it a try, Andrew. No, not to eat it. Say pick you a piece. Never mind. Anyway, that is a magic guarri bush. That fell flat. The magic guarri bush, and very dominant tree here on the sodic areas, and not much will eat them. And they won't eat them because they don't taste very nice at all. And so it's very tanniny. And for that reason, because they're not eaten, they're a favourite tree amongst the cats for marking territory. They're also quite good for spotting flies, for beating out fires. It's all entirely true. And of course it gets its name from being used as a water divining rod. And you take a forked piece of Euclea divinorum, and apparently you can find water. Interested to know, in fact, from the viewers, if any of you have come across a water diviner, and if so, have they actually managed to find you water before? And how reliable? I mean, do people still do water divine? I think there are one or two out in South Africa who still do that. And if you want a borehole dug on your farm, you give them a call, and they come out and they try and divine some water for you. For those of you who don't know what that means, basically you walk along with a forked stick, and your forked stick, apparently, if there's underground water, will sort of shake towards the ground. But you've got to apparently have a certain amount of the correct energy in order to be able to pick up the water with your stick. Running up the tree there. Alice in Ohio, you want to go to the hyena den. Alice, let's go to the hyena den. I'm more than happy to go to the hyena den. I love the hyena den. But first, let's just look at this little squirrel. We don't often get such good views. And there he goes. Let's see if he sticks his head up through there. Yeah. Right, very pretty little tree squirrel. Happy to go to the hyena den. We'll head off that way. We are still on Arathusa, heading now. We'll see. I think this is the road I want to take. I think to get us out eventually. Turning into a beautiful afternoon. The sun's starting to sink. The light is turning gold. I have a feeling I've taken the wrong road. I think I always take this road by mistake on my way out. Hello Terry on Twitter. You were obviously around when we named the little baby hippopotamus in the Arathusa Dam Lily. Terry, I think Lily is there, but there's so much of that water hyacinth around, and so I didn't see it. I'm just struggling with the name. I think it's Terry Castle. Lily was probably there underneath all the water hyacinth. Under this power line here, I'll try and get a view of these birds here and follow. It's a Wahlberg's eagle. It's a common form of the Wahlberg's eagle, very brown one. You can see that just from the very narrow tail that it has. Extremely narrow tail. That's how you know it's a Wahlberg's eagle. Have a quick look at my binoculars because suddenly its tail doesn't look quite so narrow. I don't know. They're wrong colours too. It's not a Wahlberg's eagle, you know. I wonder if it isn't a steppe buzzard. Well, it's flown away now, so I can't make any more of a fool of myself. And just stop filming it. I don't know what it is. Let's have a quick look in the book. Oh, that's the wrong book. That's insects. That's what they're focused for. Quickly have a look in the bird book. And the steppe buzzard is not the same as a steppe eagle. Andrew, thank you for that. That, of course, is a great big pile of hyena dung. We were talking about the hyena den earlier, and that's where we're going to head to. I think that's what it was, everybody. I think it was a steppe buzzard. There it is underneath. Maybe not quite that colour underneath. What do you think, Andrew? Not so much.
Not so much.
Okay, not the steppe buzzard. Let's have a look at the Wahlbergs. It could have been tawny as well. Yeah, maybe tawny. What do you think?
Tawny.
Tawny. Maybe let's film the tawny flying. There we go. That's the tawny flying. I think that's probably what it was, actually. It did look like it had a thin tail when it was flying into the wind, but as soon as it turned sort of away from the wind, that's what it kind of opened out. And what am I doing? That's an African hawk eagle. That's not even a tawny eagle. There is the tawny eagle.
Yes, tawny.
Yes, tawny eagle. Right, before I make further fool of myself, let's go to the hyena den, where I kind of know what's going on. you, Cara and Zimbo in London. Wonderful update from you. You say when you were on your farm, you had a water diviner come in and tell you exactly where to find the water, where to drill the hole, and it was a very successful enterprise. Good. I'm glad that the skills does seem to still exist. I've heard some skeptics, but yeah, certainly I've also heard far too many stories like that for me to be skeptical about water divining. Out of the way, bird. We're going to the hyena den. Vancouver, and I'm afraid I'm missing the rest of the names because the radio is going up and down. But you say, and a few others have mentioned, or Mia, I think you mentioned that you have experience of water divining. Both of you, Dodie and Mia, you've had experience of water divining and have been provided with fresh water as a result of this amazingly ancient practice that seems to work. Right, let's get out of Arathusa. Oh, there's the nyala. Hello, nyala. A dung nyala bull. I don't know where his family is. Ah, there they are. Young teenage couple out on a date. I suppose it's not really a school night because we're in between the holidays. So they've probably been allowed out for a date this evening. But otherwise not an extremely mammal-rich zone this at the moment. Not with a powerful wind blasting up from the south. Now, I don't want to say this too loudly, but I'm going to whisper it. Not near where we are, but they suspect quite strongly, a few of the Arathusa guys, that Shadow may have cubs. And she was seen going in and out of a particular area on her own and then making some calling sounds, but further north of here. So that's really exciting. And we definitely won't be going to look there for the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, but it may be that Shadow has got some cubs, and wouldn't that just be the best news in the world? They'll be Christmas babies, those ones. We don't know though, so don't get too excited, but it is possible. And the way they think, or the reason they think that, is she was close to an area that she was around an area where there was a hole in the ground, there was a culvert and a termite mound. She kept going in and out of the same place and calling gently, that little call that they make. So they immediately zoned the area, they ring-fenced it from a game drive point of view, so we can't go there. And then in about 2 weeks' time, we'll see if we can't see what's happening. Right, we're out of Arathusa. Odd winds, especially when there's no cloud anywhere around the place. So there's one thing that gets up my nose. It's a hard wind. Bringing in any weather, it's just blowing. Especially if be riding a bicycle. Update on the radio as to what's going on Djuma. Clearly not much, or Brent Black-headed will deal with whatever it was. Out of the wind, thank goodness. What we're going to do is stop over here, and I'm going to set up the VR rig, basically people drive along as the sun sets, and what you're going to see is the dust that has come up. Now, for this time of year, for the mountains to be in the kind of dust that they are now is really very unusual indeed. So I'll just stop up on the point here off the road. I mean. You can hardly see the mountains. Right, I'm just going to wire this thing up quickly. That's a very pretty picture. And if the final control wishes to go to Brent, let me know, so that I might greet our guests fondly. So, we'll just screw this thing into the front. We did have a bit of a mishap with those elephants, by the way. One of these things seems to have had a bit of an accident. And I think I've got it on wrong. Which spike do you put it on? The long spike? The middle spike?
Middle spike.
Middle spike.
It's only about 7,000 US.
Is that what it costs?
Only about 7,000 US. No big deal, James.
Okay, $7,000 US for this ball of GoPro cameras. Definitely well above my pay grade. I shouldn't be handling a machine like this. Thank you. And camera number 5 is still not facing where it's supposed to be. Oh well, it'll have to do.
You turn it more.
No, if I turn it more, it's going to pop.
Because we need one camera to face you.
It is facing me, isn't it? Not really. Alright, never mind. Maybe we'll do this later. Okay, on we go. Try to find the hyenas. And maybe link across to Brent to see what he's doing. Apparently Brent's signal is very bad, so we can't go across to him right now. Anyway, beautiful sun that. Gracie, aged 8, you say you didn't know that the animals could go out on dates. Gracie, I'm being a little bit, I'm sort of joking a little bit. They can go out on sort of dates though, but they can go any time they like. And Valentine's Day, every day is Valentine's Day out here for the animals, and especially for what? For the impala, it's in May, and for the kudu, it's probably around February time, and the lions can have Valentine's Day any time of the year. So they're quite lucky, the animals are out here, aren't they? That is wonderful. Thank you, Gracie. Hello, Hello, Steph or Jeff in Boston. Sorry, radio's playing up a bit today. You want to know about nyalas and... Oh, Beth. Beth, not Steph or Jeff, but Beth in Boston. Beth in Boston is a very nice alliteration. You want to know about the nyalas and why there's so many of them compared to bushbuck, and why we're not seeing bushbuck so much, and do the nyalas displace them? Yeah, I think they do, you know. I mean, they all feed at slightly different heights in the vegetation stratum, though. Bushbuck much lower, nyala in the middle, and kudu at the top. And so they have similar kind of preferences for habitat and for food, but they do normally eat at different strata. I think you'll find bushbuck like slightly wetter areas. They'll like a bit more permanent water than we have here, and so they're not that common around here. But yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, I suppose the nyala might. I mean, certainly there'd be more if there weren't nyala, but they do have separate trophic or feeding niches. Thanks, Beth. Good question. Brent has got some signal. Let's go across to him, and we'll see you shortly. Well, hopefully not too shortly.
Welcome back. Unfortunately, where those ellies were, it was really bad signal. There's Isaac there. He's busy just switching off the water pump, which has been fixed. So James can stop calling me disheveled now. But on that note, I might have been disheveled, but at least I was cool. I have a swimming pool, so that's what I've been dipping into 3 times a day during the heat. Sorry about that. Craig has got a very loud voice on the radio. I'm going to just turn him off. Hopefully they'll start pumping the Djuma pan more regularly again now that that water pump is up and running. A warm welcome to Kathy in Florida from another warm part of the world. Kathy says, can't wait for the marula season to start to watch the ellies shaking the fruit. It should be, and still in about a month and a half before that starts in full, well, in earnest. So still a little bit to wait, and really something to look forward to. And she also says, Happy New Year to everyone here at WildEarth. Well, Happy New Year to you too, Kathy. Stand up on their back legs to reach further up into the tree? Yes, most definitely, Dawn. I've seen them do that, in particular after anna trees. Unfortunately, we don't have any anna trees here, but it is a firm favorite. It is a type of thorn tree, and they really love those seed pods and will stand on their back legs to grab. Sometimes for a marula as well, so maybe we'll get lucky. Now, here is an interesting track. I was quite confused. I thought I'd seen a drag mark, and I was like, oh, panic. I think this is James Henry's exercise routine. So he draws lines in the sand as he runs around quarantine, and then when he gets to the line, he sprints at full speed! And then he jogs again, and then jogs. Next line, full speed! Next line, oh, then he does push-ups there by the tracks. This looks like sit-up tracks over here. So we can actually track James's exercise routine around quarantine. There's the next line. And let's see if we've got a handprint in the ground. We don't. This is not a push-up station. So isn't that interesting? You find the strangest tracks out here in the African bush. I was hoping those wildebeests might be on quarantine with some playful babies. I'm not seeing any at the moment. Question from Dr. Debbie. Dr. Debbie would like to know: does the growth rate, is the growth rate of elephant tusks affected at all by drought conditions or lack of condition in the animal? Not that I'm aware of, Dr. Debbie. I think they do grow very slowly, and it'll sort of probably grow in collaboration with the movement of the teeth as they get worn down. But as far as I know, that shouldn't affect the growth rate in the tusks. Maybe, possibly, if only when it's very young, but as it's an adult, I don't think so. I could be wrong. I'll have to go double check on that. There's not an animal on quarantine. It's almost like wild dogs have run through here. And then the last view of that's James's weights. That is his weight. He stole it from our firewood pile. You can see his little footprints there, where he's been doing his heavy lifting. Bush Jim. There's some impala down there. So let's go have a look-see. Still quite a strong wind and an unusual wind because it's coming from the sort of southeast. Normally our prevailing winds come from the west. Who's watching via the YouTube is wondering whether those leaves I rubbed on myself the other day worked as an insect repellent. They actually did seem to be quite effective, and I didn't get too many fly bites after that. So I have to try it again. They haven't been too bad since then, so I haven't had to use the leaves again. And it was a dwarf wild sage, Fiona, that I rubbed on myself. Impies. They'll be quite nervous in this very strong wind and slowly making their way up towards the crest of quarantine, which is up behind us, to rest there for the night. Oh, look at this little guy go. High speed little impala. And I think he started a game. Let's see if these two decide to join. There we go. You can hear that very much like burping sound that is made when the adults contacting the young. Burp. Burp. And then you have the baby that was slightly more high-pitched back. Very strange sound. So have a quick look down at the pan. Oh, there's some kudu there. And it looks like a nice male kudu approaching for a drink as well. And you can actually see some of these impala are coming towards us with muddy feet from the pan. line now. Oh. Nice group of kudu up at the pan at the moment. Collection of kudu, some Hadida ibises in the foreground, some impala still around. And it looks like someone's turned the pump on and it's slowly feeding back into the Djuma waterhole. So it should be a bit more full tomorrow. But look at this, this is interesting, these Hadidas. It's two chicks begging from the mother or the father. Look at that, beg, 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 where's my dinner, where's my dinner? And you can see that a bit smaller, and you can hear that very high pitch, and that's them begging. You almost think that baby's about to get into hiding. Almost a gale force wind coming in from the south now. So actually quite funny. So two Hadida chicks are begging with one adult there on the other side. So mom and dad are getting harassed. Over there, there's another one begging from the other adults. Having a nice long drink. It's been a hot day. You can probably hear how strong that wind is at the moment. Hello, impala. And a Cape turtle dove. Those impala spotted. Suddenly staring very intently up. Oh no, just double checking. I think it's a nyala up ahead. I can't really see it, but it looked like they might have spotted something. So the kudu are moving off. Those impala, didn't see anything in particular. So I think we're going to do the same. controls just through those trees over there. And still no sign of the wildies. That's very strange. You would think they would already be on quarantine in this windy weather. And there they are. On cue. Quarantine racetrack for the baby wildebeest again. Well, there we go, a bit of digging. Might get a bit of a roll, which could be quite impressive in this dust. Making sure my settings are correct in case we get some racing babies. I encourage you guys to take screenshots. You can do and share them with us. You can share them on our Facebook page, which is SafariLIVE, or you can use the hashtag SafariLIVE and pop them on Twitter. There we go, the game's on. Coming around again, who's ready for the screenshots? Oh, they tricked us, they stopped. There's more babies still coming from behind us. Adults calmly grazing across quarantine, and the babies careering around like mad things. Well, here comes the next load. Oh, charging in to greet them is another baby. Oh, thirsty, very thirsty. Looks like a pit stop. The baby racers need a refuel before they continue on with their antics. Off they go, refueled, ready to go. Oh, not quite that one, but I don't think Mom's going to agree. Well, let's zoot around to the other side of quarantine. So let's go catch up with those wildies that have moved off to the other side of quarantine. So let's go off to now a carnivore baby with James.
Back at my favourite spot on the reserve at the moment, the hyena den, and everyone's out. Corky's just got up now to give a bit of discipline. There is D1 with their little white sock, and that's May being sent back into the hole. Oh, the little one's playing. So sweet. And there's Pretty coming up the mound. There she comes. And little November looked like she might come all the way down here until very recently. Those interesting bumps on the back of Pretty's front legs. What those are? It looks like Corky's also got them. Actually be the dew claw. And there's November in the background. D1 and D2 trying to suckle from other than their mother. That's interesting. It's almost like Corky said to November, you stay inside. The little ones are going to feed now. One of them from your mother and one from me. Yeah, that's very interesting. Little D1 got knocked out there. I wonder if D2 isn't a female and D1 a male. It would be very tough to be a hyena, I tell you what. Hard lessons they learn. Oh, don't learn. You can feel that wind, you can hear it starting to blow around the place here. Little November trying to come out, but a bit nervous. Oh, let's quickly go across to Brent. He's got the little antelopes, same shape as this. Let's head across to them quick.
So the babies have tired themselves out. They're now having a nice roll in the sandy patch on the western side of quarantine. And how many we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 still. So all present and accounted for. Becoming a little gang of wildies. Not so much a gang as a nursery group is the correct term for a group of babies. And the little horns are already coming out. And you can see a little bit of head-butting already at this young age. I think those are probably 2 little boys, just judging from the behavior. Umbilical cords not even fallen off completely, and they're already boxing. Oh! Isn't this cute? Having a rest. Let's see, one doesn't want to let the other rest. So they don't want to get too far away from the adults. Adults just off to the left. Still grazing. Well, let's quickly go have a look at the hyenas with chains quickly.
Right, so there's been a sort of change around here, and quite interestingly, Corky is living up to her name. She's now corked the hole there, and I think purposely stopping November come out, and purposely also stopping May come out. May also is inside that hole, and Corky only wants her youngsters out when they're feeding. It's almost like she's saying she doesn't want the distraction of the other youngsters around while she's feeding them. And there they are, suckling. And just up here, Andrew is our little kingfisher friend. Beautiful little pygmy kingfisher. Oh, he's so wonderful. Look at him swaying in the breeze. Brooklyn, you're just 10 and you're in Ohio, and I completely agree with you. It also makes me quite mad. You say, how is it that Corky can allow her baby to feed from another mother when that other mother has got November to try and feed? Yeah, Brooklyn, that's just the way it goes in hyena society, I'm afraid. Now, the more dominant you are, the better your kids will wake up. And it's actually not too dissimilar, or it's quite similar to some human societies, you know. If your parents are dominant, if they are leaders in society, normally the kids will grow up with lots more resources than kids from poor families who don't have a lot of resources, but they really got to kind of fight for everything they get. And it's a similar sort of thing in hyena society. But yeah, I know what you mean. And there's no question that as soon as Corky decides everybody else must go inside and only her babies can be outside, that's what happens. Well noticed, Brooklyn. I wonder if the kingfishers are allowed in and out while Corky is there feeding her little twins, who will, you see, and as Andrew was saying, I mean, it's quite an interesting thing this, from birth, basically, November is under the impression of her status, so she understands her status immediately. She knows that when Corky or her offspring are around, she must be away, she must be shy, she must be retiring, and if she isn't, she'll get a bite from Corky. And she knows that from birth. Her mother knows that, and you can see her mother is completely comfortable with the situation, or doesn't really have a choice in the situation, and so they adopt and inherit and express the status that they inherit from their mothers straight away, from birth. And this is where they learn it, at the den. That mohawk is quite amazing, isn't it? And see the dust, people, there shouldn't be dust this time of year. It should be, it should be really moist, enough moisture in the soil for there to be no dust. And Janine on Twitter, I agree with you completely. That kingfisher is absolutely a bird of brilliant, brilliant, beautiful colours. Let's try and count them. There's white, there's a kind of a navy blue, bit of purple there, a carrot-coloured beak, a black on the top of the head, a bit of chestnut colour on the front. Still there, the papier tree. Now let's watch and see if he doesn't try and go inside the den. It's at least 6 colours. Nice black eye. See if you can count the number of colours there are. Look how beautiful he is, juxtaposed with the green. Yeah, he's flown. Oh, well done, Andrew. Now, Lewis, you want to open up a can of worms here. You're in Buffalo, New York. You want to know if Corky's behaviour is instinctual or if it's conscious thought. The biologist in me says it's entirely instinctual. And I think it probably is largely instinctual. That said, I have no doubt that she has a sense of superiority, and that causes her to react in certain ways. So is that conscious thought or is it entirely instinctual? There's a piece of me that wants to say there's a little bit of conscious thought in it, but I don't think we can truly answer that question. I'd say it's largely instinct, Lewis, and in the absence of any other evidence, that's what I'm going to stick to. But I certainly wouldn't put it beyond the realm of possibility that there is some conscious thought in it. If you think of, again, domestic animals, a nice way to check, in terms of intelligence and emotion in animals. If you think of a dog, we had a very naughty dog at one stage of our family lives, Trubshaw the Staffy. And Trubshaw, apart from being the stupidest animal in creation, was also very naughty. He was a wonderful creature, and he made us laugh immensely. But what he used to do is, if he knew, when he wanted to go for a walk, he would nip my father on the hand, and then my dad would shout at him and he'd come back and nip him again. He was definitely making a conscious choice as to what he wanted to do. He wanted to go for a walk, and he knew that if he nipped my father's hand for long enough, eventually my dad would give up and take him for a walk. Now, that was a conscious decision on the dog's part. I don't think you can dispute that. Now, I can't believe that in an intelligent animal like the hyena, and we know that animals with complex social hierarchies like this, and the only other sort of mammal out here that has as complicated a social society as this would be the monkeys and the baboons out here. We know that they are intelligent, and so an intelligent animal like a hyena, I can't believe that it isn't making some conscious choices in its life. So there you go, Lewis. That's a long-winded answer for you. And I know there are a lot of people who would tell me I was talking absolute nonsense. I don't know. I think that's probably pretty true. Things are getting nice and quiet here at the hyena den. Everybody's going to sleep. All right, let's head across to Brent quickly. He's going to say goodbye to you. We'll last look at the Wildebeests and we'll stay here with the hyenas. Andrew, why did you tell me my hat was...
So the cats have evaded us again, but don't worry, we'll be out bright and early tomorrow on the sunrise safari trying to find you a leopard or a lion. But from Tebs and myself on the rust bucket, have a wonderful day or evening or whatever time of the day, wherever it is where you are in the world. And let's go back for the last few minutes of drive to James and those glorious spotted hyenas.
I didn't realize my hat was at such a ridiculous angle when I last saw you, so I've slightly reduced the ridiculousness. I'm still quite gangster. Anyway, we've only got 90 seconds left of drive, so we're just going to sit here with these hyenas. And it's been another, well, I mean, a short but fascinating little foray here. And what I quite like about it is that the predictions that we're making, or that the understanding that we're getting of the den, seem to be bearing out. So we're starting to see fewer surprising things when we come here every day. So I think we're getting things pretty sorted. And please remember, share your thoughts if you're interested in these hyena dens and you like Lewis's question about conscious thought. That sort of stuff is fascinating to discuss, especially with the collective intelligence of all of our viewers. So you'll find that amount of collective intelligence will come up with some pretty good answers for why the animals behave the way they do. Last bit of suckling going on, and I'm sure as the light starts to fade, which you can see it doing, these hyenas are going to head off into the darkness to go and forage and see what they can find. A big thank you to Andrew Francis. Thank you, Andrew, for your efforts today. You waved his thumb at me. Big thanks to Brent and Tebs, and especially for finding those elephants while we were driving around Arathusa seeing nothing. Thanks, Jerry, flying solo. Tomorrow we will see you at 0500 during the glory of the African dawn. Stay safe wherever you are. Bye-bye.